It's the year 165. Rome, the center of the world, is in total chaos. A devastating plague is sweeping through the empire, killing up to 2,000 people every single day. On the borders, brutal wars are draining the treasury and bleeding the army. Inside the palace, the emperor himself, Marcus Aurelius, is battling a painful illness that will eventually kill him. In the middle of all this unimaginable pressure, he sits down with a wax tablet and a stylus, writing in a private journal words that were never meant for anyone else's eyes. And yet, those words have survived for 2,000 years. Words that still speak directly to us today, especially in an age when anxiety feels like a constant background noise. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It was a simple sentence, but it was a mic drop that echoed across centuries. And here is the powerful truth. This idea didn't just survive the fall of Rome. It became the backbone of what modern psychology now calls the dichotomy of control, a deceptively simple practice that can dismantle anxiety at its roots. The core idea, here's how it works. Divide your entire life into two categories. Number 1, things you can control. Number 2, things you absolutely cannot. Then, and this is the part most people miss, you consciously choose to live your life only on the first list. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just a philosopher sitting in a quiet study. He was the leader of the most powerful empire on earth, making decisions while chaos, death, and fear swirled around him. And yet, he used this exact framework to stay calm, to stay grounded, and to keep leading. Today, 2,000 years later, we can use the same ancient mind hack to end that restless, buzzing anxiety we carry in our modern lives. Why this works? Think about your own day. Anxiety often comes from focusing on things completely outside your control. Will the traffic make you late? Will the economy crash? Will someone like you back? Or will your boss finally be in a good mood? You spend mental energy on things that are completely indifferent to your will, and that energy gets drained away. Marcus understood this. That is why he wrote reminder after reminder to himself. Don't waste energy on the uncontrollable. Direct all your effort toward what is truly in your hands, your choices, your words, your actions, your attitude. This shift isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about placing your limited energy where it actually creates impact. The Stoic pause. Another Stoic, Epictetus, taught something that pairs perfectly with Marcus's advice, the art of pausing before reacting. He said we should reserve judgment when something happens. For example, the boss yells. Your natural reaction is panic, defensiveness, anger. But if you pause, if you ask, is this in my control or out of my control? You create a tiny gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap lives your freedom. Modern neuroscience agrees. That pause activates the prefrontal cortex, the rational, executive part of your brain, and dials down cortisol, the stress hormone that fuels panic. What could have become a spiral of anxiety turns into calm clarity. The modern application. Let's bring this down to earth. You don't need to be an emperor. You don't need a marble palace. Stuck in traffic? You can't control the cars, the lights, or the clock. But you can control what you listen to: uplifting music, a podcast, or even silence to breathe. Your boss snaps at you. You can't control their tone, but you can control how you breathe, how you stand, and how calmly you respond. You're worried about the future. You can't control the global economy, but you can control whether you save money today, whether you work on your health, whether you learn a skill. In every situation, there's a clear dividing line. Out of my control, in my control. Anxiety grows on the wrong side of that line. Strength grows on the right side. Not giving up, but gaining focus. Now, some people hear this and think, isn't this just giving up? Isn't this doing nothing? Marcus Aurelius himself proves that's nonsense. He didn't abandon his empire. He didn't run away. He made decisions, commanded armies, passed laws, cared for his people all while applying this framework. This isn't about inaction. It's about focus. It's about pouring your limited energy into what actually matters. When you do that, your actions have more impact, your mind has more calm, and your life becomes more effective. The payoff modern psychology has studied this exact mindset. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective treatments for anxiety and depression, borrows heavily from Stoicism. Research shows that practices like this can reduce rumination, that exhausting habit of chewing on negative thoughts, in just a few weeks. So when Marcus Aurelius scribbled his private reminders 2,000 years ago, he wasn't just helping himself. He was laying the foundation for one of the most powerful mental health tools we still use today, the daily practice. So how do you make this a part of your life? Simple rituals. Morning, write down your biggest worries. Circle what you can control. Midday, pause and ask, which column am I in? Refocus if you've drifted. Evening, reflect on one win, a moment you let go of what you couldn't change and acted on what you could. Over time, these tiny drills reshape how your mind works. They train you to instinctively focus on the controllable and release the rest. Closing 2,000 years ago, surrounded by plague, war, and his own failing health, Marcus Aurelius wrote another line. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That's not just ancient poetry, it's a life strategy. Anxiety is often just the signal that you're fighting battles you can't win, putting your focus in the wrong column. Shift that focus. Use the dichotomy of control as your compass. Turn your anxiety into fuel. Let obstacles guide your growth. And remember, the only real power you'll ever have is over your own mind. Master that, and nothing can master you.